Today I have a really fun project. It is going to be an interleave, but it's going to be a twist on an interleave. I have never seen this type done anywhere, so this might be something brand new that I've come up with. Basically, I'm going to have blocks that look like that, so that's pretty cool. I'm going to show you how that is done. So I need four 5-inch squares, and the reason why I'm working this small is because I'm actually going to use these and enter them into a miniature category for a quilt competition pretty soon. So I need things to be pretty small in that case, but you could absolutely do this with the 10-inch squares. You could do it with 8-inch squares if you wanted to. So the principles are the same. So I have just some dyed fabrics that I picked out here, and these are just some fabrics that I have that I've dyed up. And so I've cut them off of these different fabrics here that I have. So what I need to do first is I have them paired up the way that I think I want to have them paired up. I'm going to turn these into 2 at a time HSTs. So to do that, I need to put fabric on top, and even though it's dyed fabric, sometimes there's a little bit of a better side. So I think in that case, it's this one. This one, I think, I think this is pretty much the same both ways. Okay. So this one, I think that one's slightly better. And then pretty much the same both ways, I think. So we're going to do that. So I need to have these right on top of each other. And then I need to go ahead and mark these. So I need to mark my diagonal. And I'm just going to do this with a chalk pencil since these fabrics seem dark enough for me to see the line. Especially this one will be dark enough. And I need to just make sure that I have that lined up really well. Okay. All right. And there we go. So I'm not going to bother pinning these because I find when it's a small enough set of squares that I don't need to pin it. It can stay together pretty well and not have the layers shift. I'm at the machine. I've got my squares. And so I'm just using this line where I line it up with the 1/4 of an inch marking. If you don't have a marking, then just take a ruler and mark a 1/4 of an inch away from the needle. And you could put like masking tape, washi tape, that kind of thing. Now I need to cut these apart. So I'm just going to do that really quickly here. And before I press these, I want to go ahead and just trim these tips off. What some people call dog ears or bunny ears, if you don't trim them off. It just saves me a step. So I'm going to go ahead and press these open. And I don't think you need to see me press them, so I'll get them pressed open and then be back here to get these trimmed. Here they are all nice and pressed, but I do need to make sure that these are 4.5 inches square. So I'm going to go ahead and get out a ruler so that I can do that. All right, so that's one way to trim it. There's actually a different way I like to trim it, and this will be a tool that I'm using next anyway. And so I like to use this stripology. And right on here, there's the 4.5 inch square. It does have diagonal marks. So I can just line that right up, right on there. And then I can just cut right where that 4.5 indicated square is, and then cut this way. And honestly, it takes me way less time to do it this way. So this is how I usually will trim up HSTs that are not larger than 6.5. So I usually do it that way. So I now have those two, and I will get the other two trimmed. Okay, now that I have these all trimmed, I'm going to go ahead and get these pushed together the way that I want them. So let's see, how was I doing this? I think I was going to do it this way. So yeah, okay, so I'm going to have those that way. So I'm going to put those two aside for the moment. What I want to do is, so if you'll see here, I have my diagonals going opposite directions. I do want this kind of green to actually be on the same side, and this stuff that's sort of like the gray-brown, that's going to be more kind of rock zone for what I'm doing here. I'm having that on top, and then I'm just going to stack these on top of each other this way. And I want to make sure that I have them stacked pretty much dead on. And then what I want to do, these lines in the center are 1/4 inch. So if I line this up where I have the 1/4 inch line between that 0 and the 1, then what I can do, or actually between, okay, so let's do it between the 0 and the 1. So now that I have it on the 1/4 inch line that's closest to the 1, then I also see that it's the 1/4 inch line that's just beyond the 5. I want to cut this into 5 1-inch strips. So do you have to have the stripology to do it? No. You could measure this individually with a ruler and cut it. But I do enough of these, and plus I use it for things like trimming the HSTs, that I find it just incredibly useful. It's one of the most useful things that I have. So I have all of these. So what I want to do is I'm going to position these like this. And what I'm doing is I'm creating this broken line. You might know this as a Delectable Mountains block, because that's exactly what is happening here. And I'm doing this with both the pieces on top of each other and keeping it that way. So I have that way. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to transfer these in that order onto a cutting mat that I can then take over to the pressing station and be able to do what I need to do. And then what I also need is, this is fusible. It's one-sided fuse. So the nubby part is actually the fuse, the glue, and this part is smooth. And so I have this cut where it is 4 1/4 inches by 7 3/4 inches, and that is a size that works really well. So I will be using this at the pressing station. And I'm going to go ahead at the same time, I'm going to get these cut and be able to get both of these laid out. I have my pieces all cut out, and then this is one of the fusible pieces there. You need 2 of these. What I am going to do is I'm just going to lay these out. So I just lay this out, and I'm going one at a time. Now I get asked all the time, do you have to have fusible? Because there's a lot of people, I guess, they don't really like using fusible when they sew, or they're concerned it's going to be really stiff. First of all, this is a miniature quilt, so by definition it's going to be a wall hanging, so I actually want it to be stiff. But second of all, I really prefer to use fusible on interleaves with really skinny strips like this, because I find that it's just a lot easier to sew this up accurately. So this one is ready for me to start sewing. I'm going to go ahead and get this one fused as well, because that way I can have 2 of them and I can alternate back and forth when I stitch. And here we are. I have my 2 different pieces. And then as you can see here, I actually alternated. It's not necessary, but I just decided to do that this time. So it's pretty easy to stitch these, stitching 1/4 inch, of course. And then I just fold this over, and I try to make sure that the piece is lining up real nice and even with the edges of the piece next to it. And then I'm going to do the same with this one. So as you can see, doing these two at a time makes it go faster because I'm not having to do a leader, ender, between, or break thread. I can just keep going. And then I can also start from the opposite side, which is a good idea just because whenever you're sewing a seam on one side like that, then it could start to kind of get slanted as you go along, even if you are watching it carefully. And by the way, I have my stitch length set to 2 millimeters. It's a good idea to have a very small stitch length. All right, so I have that so far. There's only 7 seams, so I'll get these other 3 stitched, but I'm going to go ahead and work on these seams to get them pressed. So I have my pieces here, and what I like to do in this kind of a case, because it's a little hard to kind of get in there, it's a narrow seam like that, I just take scissors and I just carefully cut along the edge, and just like that. And then I like to have a cutting mat of some kind down, and that way I can just trim these right over the cutting mat, and then I can just take that cutting mat right over to the trash and empty that out. By doing that, I make it so that I can open these seams. Now you might be tempted to press aside, but that is going to make it pretty bulky if you do so. This is a way of reducing the bulk, especially if you're using interfacing, and it holds up pretty well. So I have these all nice and set up to do that, and then I need to do the other side, and I need to do what I've done here as well. So I have them the rest of the way stitched up, but I'm going to do one extra little step here, and that's just because I keep forgetting to backtack. So I'm going to do a stay stitching along the sides here, and I'm just going to use the width of my presser foot, which is not, it's less than 1/4 of an inch. And by doing that, it's going to make it so that if these seams start to try to pop, that is going to limit the amount of popping that happens before I can get these blocks incorporated into the bigger piece. And just like that, I have the pieces all made up. These are the 2 pieces that I made up last night. And I think I actually like this format a little bit better. It looks more like the Delectable Mountains than this does. So, and this was because I had swapped where I place things. So if I keep it the same, then I'll get more of this kind of effect when I do it. So I think that'll be pretty good. So I do have the option of, potentially kind of placing something like that. I like this fabric that I used, and that was actually this fabric here, because it actually kind of feels like it might be a little bit of a lake, a small lake or a small pond that you can kind of see through that foothill of the mountain zone. And then, of course, the green is more for kind of trees and forest. So I will be working on all of that. I need 36 of these total. So if I do decide to go with these, I only need 8 more of them because I only need 12 that I'm going to do this way. And then the rest of my blocks are just going to be Delectable Mountain blocks. I hope this has been an interesting piece for you to contemplate making yourself. It's just kind of a different twist on the interleave block, and it just kind of shows the versatility of what you can do with that interleave kind of a concept. So until next time, happy sewing.